women into uncontrolled hysteria to prey upon the innocence of children.
Shocktails with Johnny Thunder.
I wonder if it isn't all a dream, a nightmare.
He's the Statler to my Waldorf. It's our master of ceremonies, Johnny Thunder.
Yo, what's going on?
You know, the rest of the show is going so well with the production, the interviews. Don't drag the show down is what I'm trying to say.
Too late. I've been on the show for, 11 years?
So anyway, sponsors? Do we have a sponsor for Johnny Thunder?
Sponsors, I'm drinking the same, my old Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. But I got to say, at lunch today, I had Tattered Flag, which is a microbrew from here in Pennsylvania. It was the Wasted Away Again. It was a sour key lime beer.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
And it was like 7 or 8%, and they were going down very good. But what about you, Genius?
Hey, by the way, speaking of flag, I got my flag in. Did you see? I got my Halloween flag out there. Nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Hauntcast.
Dude, where'd you find that? Was that just one of those random Facebook ads or something?
No. That's the dude. Remember a few years ago, I featured his children's book, The Halloween Kid. It was like Rhodey Mojito is the artist's name. I didn't talk about him on the last episode because I previously featured him. He did that book called The Halloween Kid, and they were trying to develop it into an animated series, but he does all those wonderful little prints and so forth, and he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, and he had posted that flag a long time ago as a postcard. And then he made a pin, and then he said, would anybody interested in actually making it into a flag? And I posted, yeah, that'd be awesome. So the very first printing round that he did, I ordered immediately because I'm thinking to myself, these things are going to sell out. And I have that hanging in my garage. I have it on the wall, and I've used it as a background prop for many pictures, including the latest picture where I put up my 25-year-old Doc Marten boots that I wear at the beach. But those things are awesome.
That was actually a great picture. Was that off your phone?
Yeah.
Wow, got a good camera on the phone. I've already got my flag on Bob's flagpole right now, so it's kind of cool. I don't think he's enjoying it much, but anyway.
What about on your end, Sparkles?
My tomfoolery is sponsored by Zima Malt Beverage. Pop your collar to the Crystal Pepsi of the malt beverage scene. Due to the water clear color or lack of color thereof, it is the perfect 5% by volume beverage to consume from a water bottle while at work, on the bus, or at your kid's parent-teacher conference. Nothing says 90s douchebag like showing up at a party with a case of warm Zima.
Oh my gosh, you're a terrible person. But an accurate description. All right, everybody, welcome back to the last bar on the left. I am serving up a spooktacular round of Shocktails this month for the Halloween Hootenanny.
He's got them all lined up right on the bar.
Yeah, I just have to keep texting my wife so I can interrupt my wife and daughter's dinner. All right,
honey, I need a beer.
I did. I texted my wife and my daughter, and I said, can one of you bring me a beer? And my poor wife came in. All right, let's get to some books and comic books. The first one up is Creepy Florida. Phantom Pirates, The Hog Island Witch, The Demented Doctor at Don Vicente, and more by show friends Mark Muncy and Carrie Schultz. It was released on September 30th. Comes in at 144 pages, $21.99 paperback, and $9.99 Kindle. I was so appreciative. Mark sent me a preview copy about a month ago, and I devoured this thing in the afternoon that he sent it to me. This is the third in their trilogy of terror in the Sunshine State. It focuses on ghosts, specters, and other haunted shenanigans. Hear macabre stories of spectral pirates, gangsters, witches, and madmen. From the packs at Madame Corey's Girls on Pensacola streets down to the ghostly clacking of Hemingway's typewriter and the keys, Our favorite fearless authors lead brave readers through the darkest haunted spots in Florida. I think we've talked about in the past their other two books. I think, the other two books that they deal with in terms of mythology and cryptos and ghosts and other things in Florida. This one was really fun. This was more, like I said, it's focused on ghosts and specters and hauntings, but the fact that they travel the state and they've accumulated all of these local folklore and tales. Are you opening another beer, Genius? I'm sorry, am I interrupting?
I'm sorry. Did you hear that? Did I break your concentration?
It just brings us. But you know what? I'm sure Mark and Carrie expect nothing less from this show. I really dug this one. Like I said, I'm not a big ghost hunter fan. I'm not into like the whole investigation, but I love the folklore, and I love that each city has its own mythology. And especially Florida, you've got such a history there, going back to the Native Americans that lived there with the colonization, and it's so many great folk tales from down there. So if you're into ghosts and hunting and so forth, I think you'll really dig this book. If you just kind of appreciate the history and the mythology and sort of the idea of cryptos and ghosts and so forth, like me, I think you'll dig this book, so definitely check that one out. Now let's move on to some comic books. I don't know if anybody actually reads comic books that listens to this show, but I'm always self-serving in terms of my segment, so I'm going to plug some comic books. The first thing I wanted to mention, this just came out last week, and I thought it was really, really awesome. DC is doing a crossover with Svengoolie, which I was blown away. So it's Svengoolie meets the DC universe. It's going to start coming out October 16th. So at first, you might think like, oh, it's going to be a limited series of just Svengoolie meeting all the Justice League and so forth. But what it is, it's going to be a 2-page each week. It's going to be a 2-page chapter that's going to be inserted into different DC comics. Now, I don't have an actual list of which comic books they're going to be, but it's going to run, I think, for several weeks throughout the month of October. And it's written by DC Comics co-publisher Dan DiDio with an assist from Svengoolie plus art by Christopher Jones. This just looks like a blast. They've done in the past, was it Colonel Sanders meets DC, which is like really awesome. You have like Colonel Sanders becomes a Green Lantern. He teams up the Flash and stuff. But the fact that Svengoolie is going to be with the Justice League, I think it's something like killer rubber chickens across the multiverse are trying to kill Svengoolie. So he finds the Justice League, and throughout these course of these, 2-page spreads, they're going to defeat the evil rubber chickens throughout the multiverse. So look for that starting October 16th. Coming also on October 16th is Albatross Funny Books Spook House Halloween Special. I thought it was actually out this week for some reason. I had my dates wrong. So this is Eric Powell, who does The Goon. And he does, Spook House, and which actually Spook House 3 is going to be coming out as well. I've recommended Spook House in the past. It's such an awesome.
Yeah, I grabbed the first edition. It was really cool.
Yeah, so they've done 1 and 2, and this is going to be a Halloween special. Look for that. Like I said, coming. I think it's on the 16th. Now, October 26th. Just in time for Halloween, it's Halloween Comic Fest 2019. Now, this is kind of like Free Comic Books Day, or we just had, it was, Batman Day, where you go to your local comic book shop and all the publishers do certain free releases. So some of them are especially for the day. Some of them might be reprints, but it's really cool that they're doing a Halloween themed one this year. So there are going to be 28 different books available. 19 are full size, 9 are mini comics, and they're all free. So you just have to show up at your comic book store on Saturday, October 26th.
So there's my birthday.
It is.
Yeah. So I know you already have it in your calendar because it's such a big day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait. Note to self, Chris. Bakers.
Well, if you can grab, if they have any additional freebies you can grab, send me something. Surprise me.
What? What's wrong with you?
Comic or two. I do enjoy the comics. I'm still trying to get through my Haunt of Fear collection that I bought last year.
Yeah.
I got all the hardbacks, and I'm still working my way through those.
Nice. Yeah, so like I said, what's very cool about this also is depending on, if you're interested in comics, again, I've been reading comic books since I think I'm like 5 years old, and I'm still getting my new comics every Wednesday. Whether it's you or whether it's your kids or whatever, there's things for all different ages. You've got things from Marvel. I think they're doing a Iron Man. They're doing Boba Fett. I think there's also a Ghost Rider, which is cool. Nickelodeon's doing The Loud House. DC is doing DC Superhero Girls. They're doing Batman. Other things are doing like Sonic the Hedgehog. There's The Loud House, Pokemon. It runs the gamut in terms of what's going to be out that day. So if you're into comics or you're just a Halloween fan, you have a comic book shop near you, go check it out that Saturday. It might be a nice day out before the big day the following week. Definitely see what's going on. Now, also starting that same week.
Yeah. And by the way, and when you're there, make sure you tell them, hey, it's Chris Baker's birthday.
Oh. God, I love how self-serving you are. All right, so coming, I guess it's October 30th. It's not that Saturday. It's the following Wednesday. Joe Hill, right? We all know Joe Hill. It's the pen name of Stephen King's son. So he's starting a line of horror comic books at DC. So there's going to be 5 limited series starting in October. The first one is called Basket Full of Heads, which is about a woman who comes into possession of a very special axe that cuts off heads, but keeps them alive to speak. The next one's called The Dollhouse Family. Alice continues to revisit the magical family of dolls inhabiting the dollhouse she was given as a child. This one actually sounds interesting to me. It's called The Low Woods. A Pennsylvania mining town grapples with a strange plague that feasts on memories. Another one called Plunge, which is an homage to H.P. Lovecraft and John Carpenter, takes place at the frozen Arctic, where a research vessel thought to have been missing for 40 years has resurfaced. And finally, Daphne Byrne is about a girl in the 19th century who discovers that her body is playing host to an evil being. What's also cool, they're going to have a continuing series as a backup in all of these issues, written by Hill, called Sea Dogs, and it's set during the American Revolution, finding the Americans recruiting 3 patriotic werewolves in a desperate attempt to defeat the British warship. So I think that actually sounds like a very fun kind of backup to complement the other stories. So I would definitely look for all those if you're a comic book fan.
Terror Vision.
The past week, in terms of television, American Horror Story just came back for its 10th season. And this one's called AHS 1984. And I had told you to try to check it out, so I don't know if you did or not.
I did not.
All right, look, like I said, I've had an up and down relationship with American Horror Story. Some seasons I've really digged, some seasons I don't. But I have to say, American Horror Story 1984 so far is off to a great start. It's completely campy. It's completely... literally it's set in 1984, and it's a mashup between Halloween and Friday the 13th. So there's all these aspiring wannabe actors in Hollywood in 1984, and they all decide like, hey, we want to get away from the city, so we're going to go be camp counselors at this recently reopened camp in upstate. So of course they go there and they learn the tale of why the camp was closed down, because 20 years ago, let's say Mr. Jingles went on the warpath and killed all the counselors. And
Sounds
killed
like your porn name.
Exactly. So he's in. No, that's Mr. Shorty. So he's in an insane asylum. So all the counselors get up there, and they're hearing all the ghost stories about the killer. And then there's this cat's been locked up for 20 years in the asylum, and he breaks out of the asylum, and his psychiatrist is chasing him. So you've got the Halloween element, and then that monster shows up at the camp, and it's really cool in the sense that it's tongue in cheek. It's a little bit wink, wink. You've got some very people are like, oh, it's just a ripoff of Friday the 13th and Halloween, and I say that's the point. That's what makes it so entertaining, because it is with a wink to the camera. So far I'm digging it. It's nothing serious, it's nothing heavy, but it's been a fun ride this season so far. So if you're into 80s classic sort of slasher flicks, I would definitely go check that out.
The Silver Scream.
This time around, we have reviews of It Chapter 2, Clownado, Killer Sofa, the Banana Splits movie, 3 from Hell, And we're going to start off with a movie called Haunt.
Yes, we're doing this.
It's the end. Say goodbye.
Is this supposed to be scary?
Breathe deeply. Close your eyes. Keep the monsters from breathing.
So, rated R for horror, violence, gore, and language. Directed and written by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Produced by horror icon Eli Roth. On Halloween night, a group of college students go partying and end up at a quote-unquote extreme haunted house that promises to feed on their darkest fears.
A.K.A. McCamey Manor.
The night turns deadly. A.K.A. a night at Chris Baker's house. The night turns deadly as they come to the horrifying realization that the nightmares are real and their hosts are actually trying to kill them. Yikes!
That's not good.
What a nightmare! So we both saw
That takes
this.
it a little too far.
Yeah, we both saw this, so we can both talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. Why not?
Yeah, sure. So do you want to take the reins, or should I try to? Or
well,
do you want to talk and then I'll tell you why you're wrong?
No,
or
we could take. How about I just ask you some questions on some different parts of the movie, see what you think.
I would love that. I would love that. But so that's basically the plot, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's basically a bunch of college kids. They go out to a bar. They're in costume. They're kind of bummed. They want to leave the party. And they're like, let's go do a haunted house. And they're like looking on Yelp and they're finding, this one has 1 star. This one has this star. And they end up sort of in this back road. And it says haunted house. And they're like, yeah, sure. Sounds like a good idea. Let's go up. Right?
Unfortunately, it only had 1 star on Yelp. So they probably shouldn't have gone in there. But I'm just, I don't know.
Well, there's that.
A lot of the Yelp reviews are fake. So, that's that too,
Yeah, there's also you're going down the abandoned road, you're lost, you're being followed by a creepy pickup truck, and there's a spectacular homemade sign in blood that says, haunted house this way.
That was off 2 seconds ago and just turns on once you turn around to go the opposite direction or whatever.
Once you break down and all of a sudden it's illuminated and come this way, you might want to run. But, we had another hour 20 of the flick, so what are you going to do?
Let's fill in those blanks, why don't we? I knew nothing about it going in, didn't hear any buzz about it or anything. I really enjoyed it. Now, granted, I saw it too a couple of nights before I watched this, so this movie seemed like it flew right by.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get to that.
This was
extravaganza next.
Like, this thing just moved. I thought it was like it just kind of cooked along. What did you think of like the atmosphere, the tension, that type of stuff? Did you?
It's always interesting because it's funny because you look at these things, and again, working, you've been to a professional haunt, obviously, and I work at one. So, immediately you pull up and you go, there's no way on God's earth you'd ever go into this thing, But in terms of, I would say overall,
or would you?
Yeah, I was entertained. I wasn't angry after I watched it. I thought it was good. I would say, though, that while there are some trappings of a haunted house, there's a room that's sort of a cemetery scene. They have a character that has a chainsaw. I think they do the spinning vortex, tunnel, which is my favorite old school. Where you go down the ramp and
and you feel like you're gonna fall off on your head.
Yeah. And I was like, so I was looking for a little bit more of actual sort of the classic haunted house kind of rooms and themes and so forth, because after a while it turns into visually just sort of a Saw or kind of a Hostel. It's just this abandoned warehouse kind of weird vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not necessarily like a haunted house inside. But overall, yeah, I liked the film. I thought the characters were fairly believable, for what's going on. I always like watching the deterioration in terms of the friendships and the alliances and so forth. But what my favorite scene I did dig? The whole there's a wall and it says like, reach in, tell me what you feel. And like, oh, it's spaghetti, it's guts, or reach in, it's an eyeball, but it's really grapes. And then, reach in and, oh, we'll cut your arm off.
I thought that third one was the glory hole. No?
Whoa! Don't want that in there. But overall, no.
What is this fleshy thing that I've got my hand on?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, this movie's been sort of made many times before, even going back to say, I don't know, didn't we just have like, the Houses of October build, or that we've had other films that kind of have dealt with, moving into the haunted house and, kind of going through a real haunted house. But I said overall, I liked it. Again, willing suspension of disbelief. Don't get too involved in what's really going on, because like we said, there's nobody, you wouldn't go up the hill. You wouldn't go into this thing. You wouldn't turn over your cell phones. You wouldn't, give up your whole freedom to these weirdos.
I get it that it was super low budget, but you couldn't have just actually gone to a haunted attraction and just said, hey, man, we just need to film in here for like, what do we give you, a couple of grand, and we film in here for like a weekend?
Well, I guess it's also the idea, like I had said, it's, along the lines of sort of this killing field where these freaks sort of set up this pop-up, and
of course. You're not putting money into something where you're just going to slaughter everybody who comes in there.
But
that's because you're really not worried about the Yelp reviews at that point. So
I enjoyed it. So let's get to Clownado. Yes, Clownado. Everyone loves anything.
Is it by the maker of Shocktails?
No, it's just to cash in on the name. So written and directed by Todd Sheets. This flick is about cursed demonic circus clowns set out on a vengeful massacre using tornadoes. Yes. So it features a stripper, Elvis impersonator, truck driver, teen runaway, and a dude who all get caught in a supernatural battle between the femme fatale and the boss clown from hell. So this movie's like inexplicable. I don't even know how to explain this.
It's inexplicable.
Suffering succotash. So, like I said, it's literally, there's like this, I don't even remember, there's like this gang of clowns, and they're just like normal clowns, and I'm not sure like they're from the circus or they're from a haunt, and I'm not really clear on what happened. But then they like attack this woman and they kill her, or they try to kill her.
That's not clown-like at all.
No, God, no. And then she like escapes or something and goes to her sister, who seems to be, or not her sister, but some woman. Might be her sister, and then she's like a witch or something, and she's these like crazy supernatural powers, and I swear, it's something like I was loaded when I saw this, believe it or not. So she casts a spell, and like the tornado is supposed to kill the clowns, but instead, like the tornado, which is sort of like this, I don't know, almost looks like they took a pencil and just like drew a color form like tornado like moves across the screen. It's sort of like the tornado doesn't kill the clown.
Was it the Tasmanian devil?
Exactly. That's what it looks like. So this tornado comes and it doesn't kill the clowns. Instead, it becomes part of the clowns. Like the clowns take it over or something. So then like the clowns can like travel through the tornado or something. So then like all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, the clowns are dead. And then all of a sudden there's like this tornado that lands in the middle of town, and then like the clowns jump out, and then the clowns like start like attacking everyone. It didn't really make any sense. It really wasn't well acted. I will say, if you like clowns, I would watch this, because I actually thought the clown costuming and the clown makeup was pretty decent. It's obviously very low budget. And like I said, the acting isn't very good, and the plot makes zero sense. I'm making fun of the fact that I really couldn't follow it, because I really had no idea what was going on in the movie. But
and you were wasted.
Exactly. Well, look, what has that ever mattered in 11 years of these reviews, Chris? Okay, so yeah, so there's clowns in a tornado. That's all you need to know. So if you like clowns and you like tornadoes, I think you'll love
two great tastes that go great together.
Got clowns in my tornado. You've got tornadoes in my clowns. So I wasn't mad after I watched it, because again, I got a screener for free. So it was fun. I don't know that I'd pay for it, but if you ever had an opportunity to see Clownado, check out Clownado. I thought it was fine. Like I said, it was fun. All right, moving on to another movie that people are like, is this a real movie? It's called Killer Sofa.
I have a delivery for Francesca Morton.
Hey, there's blood here.
That recliner almost chopped my mate's finger off.
He keeps saying the recliner's possessed. I really don't know what's gotten into him.
We need to find out where that recliner is. Tomorrow morning, we'll call every delivery company in the city if we have to. Whoever has that recliner is in great danger.
It's about a killer reclining chair. So it's not a sofa, it's a chair. So I don't know whether in New Zealand, and we have Simon Danaford that listens to the show. You can tell me in New Zealand is like a Barca lounger called a sofa down there. But anyway, so it's a killer reclining chair, becomes enchanted by a girl and starts committing crimes of passion. Now, so literally, dude, you hit it on the head, right? So these people move into this like condo or flat or whatever, and they go into the storage room, and there's this big chubby Barca lounger, and there's like this sort of like this blue chubby chair, almost like, you know what it reminded me of? On a Pee-wee's Playhouse. Remember Pee-wee's Playhouse? He had Cherry.
Come in and pull yourself up a chair. Cherry!
Dude, it's literally like Cherry and it has eyes, but it's like buttons. So like the buttons on the chair look like eyes. So what apparently happens through the course of the movie, you find out that there's a Dybbuk box. You know, Dybbuk box is this ancient sort of old-timey Jewish tradition of capturing evil spirits in a box. So there's a Dybbuk box buried inside of this chair, which makes no sense. So these people have this chair, and there's this other thing there's a subplot involving the antiques dealer grandpa who finds it, whatever. But there's this dude and his wife, and they literally have this possessed Barca lounger in their house. So at one point, like the lady sits on the chair, and it's like trying to eat her, and then the husband comes home and he's in the kitchen. All of a sudden the chair's right behind him, and a big coil pops out and it's like stabbing him. And then at one point the lady runs out of the house and the Barca lounger's on the roof. It is the craziest. And I'm almost like, remember that movie Rubber we watched with the killer tire?
Yes.
Was it
that bad? It was like that.
Well, that wasn't. I wanted that to be fun because it's a killer tire. I would say this was more along the lines of fun because it's ridiculous. Now, I will say in between the appearances of the killer Barca lounger, it's really boring. And it's really ponderous to watch. But when the killer chair is on the screen, it's fantastic. So maybe if they offered like an edited version down to like 12 minutes of Killer Sofa, it's fantastic. So if you see a sizzle reel of this anywhere, I would recommend Killer Sofa because it's a killer chair and it has like eyes. It's so batshit crazy.
Dude, I have a dirty little secret. I loved Pee-wee Playhouse. I used to watch Pee-wee Playhouse all the time.
Chris, guess what? Question.
What?
Trivia time, genius. Who was the set designer of Pee-wee's Playhouse who later headed a heavy metal band and became a horror movie director?
Rob Zombie?
Yes.
No shit.
Yes. Well, now it makes sense, right? Go back and look at the sets on Pee-wee's Playhouse. All the bullshit that's all around and all the sort of garbage and the repositioned 50s nonsense. Rob Zombie was the set designer on that show.
No kidding.
Yeah. Or at least he was one of them.
Little Snapple fun fact for you.
Yeah, how do you like that? See, sometimes, look at me. Sometimes I think and something happens.
On a rare occasion. But
all right, so you know what? We're in a nostalgia mood. We're talking about Pee-wee's Playhouse in the 80s. Let's move on to another nostalgia fest, the Banana Splits movie.
Hey, sweetheart. We
are going to the Banana Splits.
Sometimes at night, I see the Splits riding around in their little cars, laughing and singing.
Who's excited to see the Banana Splits?
Yeah!
Rebecca, I'm canceling the show.
What?
Hey, kids, put on your happiest faces
Because the Banana Split Show is about to begin.
Where are the children?
Mom, get out of here! Time's almost up!
Why are you doing this to me?
Please!
Let me out!
Now the show can go on forever and ever and ever!
Come on, you fuzzy son of a...
So when I saw that they were doing the Banana Splits as a horror movie, again, everybody knows I'm a big fan of giant animal heads. I did the Bunny Man. I love anything that's completely ridiculous. So
Mr. Twisty, which is not an animal, but big, huge, giant plastic head on.
I have my big ice cream head. I have Mr. Clown. But yeah, as soon as I saw this, I was a little intrigued, and I was surprised that they would reboot this property as a horror movie, just in terms of, you have everything else being rebooted. So I was intrigued. So I checked it out. So it's rated R for horror, violence, and gore. The plot revolves around a boy named Harley and his family, his brother, his mother, and his father, who attend a taping of the Banana Splits TV show, which is supposed to be a fun-filled birthday for him and business as usual for the producer of the series named Rebecca. But things take an unexpected turn, and the body count quickly rises. Can Harley, his mom, and their new pals safely escape? So it's a weird premise, like I said, to take the Banana. So the idea is that the Banana Splits TV show that we, like you said, people our age grew up in the 70s, caught, is still being produced nowadays. And so they have a live studio audience, but instead of actually actors portraying the splits, they have their robots, which again makes absolutely no sense. So basically what happens is the robots somehow go haywire, trap a bunch of the audience members in the studio building, and basically go on a killing spree and try to kill everyone. That sounds like a great premise, right? Because like I said, I think it's just so batshit crazy it might just work. My problem overall with the movie, now I wasn't, again, necessarily completely angry about it, but I would say if you're gonna do this, I think you just have to go really, really ape shit. Like, I think you have to go balls to the wall and make it completely over the top. It's not as gory. I've read some things where this is like, so gory and blah, blah, blah. There's not a lot of gore. There's not a lot of blood. There's not a lot of overt, real violence in it. There are some disturbing things, where the characters do the regular TV show for the audience, and then later when they're going mental, they kind of reenact some of the same scenes, but they're killing people during it. But I would think if you're going to do this, do it over the top, make it completely crazy, make it really gory and disturbing. It sets up a sequel, so maybe they'll do something more with the sequel. Watching it, it's kind of, I don't even know that they would need to edit much out to show it, like, say, on Sci-Fi Channel. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as disturbingly crazy as I think a lot of the promotion suggested it would be. But if you're a Banana Splits fan, and again, people are like, oh, it besmirches my childhood memories. I'm like, well, maybe you need to make some different childhood memories. I liked it. It was fine.
You ruined my childhood.
Yeah, I'm sure Uncle Bad Touch ruined your childhood a little bit more. I would, not pay for it necessarily like I did, but I wasn't angry. The acting is fine. I think the kid that is the main star is kind of annoying. His friend's a little bit easier. You know who really was good, and I forget her name now. The producer of the show, this Rebecca, I think, was the showrunner. She was actually very engaging, and the mom actually gave a good performance. Everybody else was sort of flat and just sort of routine. But it was fine. Like I said, again, my only criticism would be I would make it either more campy, just make it campier, or make it gorier. So again, the ending completely leaves it open for a sequel. So if they do a sequel, I hope that they take it in a crazier direction.
Do we have more?
We have
more?
Oh, wait, there's less. We have one more review. And longtime fans of the show know, like we had talked about earlier, that any mention of Rob Zombie was a long-running joke on the segment. I'm going to get right to it. It's going to be my final review for the Halloween season. It's a movie from Rob Zombie, written and directed by Rob Zombie, called Three from Hell.
The search for the fugitives known as the Devil's Rejects resulted in a violent clash with police. Chances for survival are less than 1,000,000 to 1.
There's no justice in this world. I am justice.
They're trying to blame us, but we didn't do it.
Free the three!
Free the three! Free the three! Free the three!
Now we can have a real Day of the Dead.
Any last words?
I still want to party.
I'm just a clown dancing for the friends of mankind.
Did I just go?
This is my death factory. You are the product.
I love it.
You know, anyone, like I said, that's listened to the show knows that I've always dug White Zombie. I've loved Rob Zombie's solo stuff. And for the most part, I've dug most of his, films. I went to see Three from Hell. Three from Hell had a limited release a couple weeks ago. It was a special event. It was like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I think they just did a special re-release because it made so much money. So I went opening night. It was the Monday, like I said, last week or whatever. The opening night I went. Theater was sold out, which was awesome. And we're all, showing up to see Three from Hell, which is the continuation of the Firefly Clan, which, of course, at the end of Devil's Rejects, every one of them is dead. But Rob kind of, explains away their deaths. So without getting too spoilery, I guess here are my overall thoughts. And again, Rob Zombie's movies are always polarizing. You either have people that dig them or they don't dig them. You have people that think he's complete trash or he's complete genius. There doesn't seem to be a lot of in between. For the most part, I've always liked his films. And again, I understand the criticisms, but I sort of just say, hey, was I entertained? Was I not entertained? And, looking back over his films, even if you're not a Rob Zombie fan, I think even his critics would agree that The Devil's Rejects is his best overall film in terms of the script, in terms of direction, in terms of dialogue, and the overall cinematography of the film. Even the themes of the storyline. I left this movie very disappointed. I don't know that this was necessary. He waited, 14, 15 years to do this. And his little intro to the film, he indicated that this first started gestating about 3 years ago, that someone had an idea. And he even said, he's like, I have no plans to revisit Devil's Rejects. So about 3 years ago, somebody said, would you want to revisit Devil's Rejects? And he said, well, I don't think about it. And over that course of the year that he thought about it, met with different cast members, and then he spent a year writing it, and then they spent a year filming it. My problem really at the end of the day was it feels unnecessary. I think that The Devil's Rejects ended on the perfect note for that film. Again, House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects is so diametrically opposite in terms of the first movie is rock and roll, in your face, phantasmagoric colors, over the top, just kitsch. Devil's Rejects is dirty, gross, grounded, crime film. It ended, and this sort of brings the characters back. And if I'm going to do a sequel, a follow-up to what, again, even my worst critics consider to be my best film, I want to make damn sure that I have a story worthy of these characters. I want to make damn sure that I have dialogue and development and something to say about these characters to bring them back and continue in a third film. My problem with it was it really felt like a rehash of The Devil's Rejects, and it really felt like Devil's Rejects light in the sense of, oh, they're captured, they're bad, now they escape, now they hole up in a house, and now they kind of reenact abuse on some captives and they kill them. Then they go on the lam. Then they hole up in what they think is a safe space, and then they're betrayed by who they think is safe. They party, and then there's a shootout. Literally, that's what happens now in 3 from Hell. They're captured in prison. They escape from prison. They hole up in the warden's house. They murder all of them. They go on the lam to Mexico. They have fun. They party. They're ratted out by their host. And then they fight to the death with a Mexican mob, drug cartel at the end. So, I just had a problem in the sense that it really felt like a light rehash of the last movie. Now, of course, sadly, this past week, we just lost Sid Haig. Sid was a longtime actor. You go back, you watch, he's on Batman. He's one of, King Tut's henchmen. He's in one of my favorite Sid Haig movie. Everybody, if you've never seen it, go see Spider Baby from the late 60s. Lon Chaney Jr.'s in it. It is one of the creepiest, craziest haunted house, and I would even say precursor to Texas Chainsaw and any of the haunted, devil, monster, cannibal house movies you'll ever see. Sid was not only in horror movies, he also did blaxploitation flicks. He's in movies with Pam Grier. He's in other films, all along. And Rob, sort of revitalized his career with House of a Thousand Corpses and Captain Spaulding. So that's a great thing. But what was sad was originally when Zombie wrote this 3 from Hell film, he originally had Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding in the entire movie. When Sid apparently, and I've just read the articles, Sid apparently showed up for filming, he was in such bad health. And at that point, they realized that he could not fulfill his contract to do the whole film. So Rob Zombie filmed a very short, maybe 10-minute scene with Sid in a prison scene, and right after that they announced he was executed. So literally, apparently on the spot filming, Rob Zombie had to rewrite the entire film, bringing in Richard Brake, who played Doomhead in 31, as the new brother, who again we've never seen before, long lost brother of the Firefly clan, and kind of just throw him into it. So what's funny is a lot of the scenes that you see and a lot of the dialogue of his character are Captain Spaulding. So you kind of see, you're like, oh yeah, I can totally see Sid Haig saying, that line or doing this scene. So it's unfortunate in the sense that Haig's health affected the film. But even if he was in it, like I said, it just seems like a total retread to me. So again, I'd watch it, make up your own mind.
That was it for the movie reviews.
I think so. Well, you know what? The only thing I was going to say was it came out too sort of early. So at this point, it's old news. But Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark had come out right after the last show. And I took my daughter because she's a big fan of the book. And I think we both dug it. I would definitely recommend it. I know a lot of people weren't necessarily enthralled with it because they kind of wanted to see it literally as the anthology sort of every chapter. But I dug how that they repositioned the stories as sort of these ghostly writings, and I loved sort of the overall mystery. And my daughter really enjoyed the whole idea of the high school girl sort of solving the mystery of the girl that was wrongly accused of doing all these horrible things because her parents were so horrible. But I think that's pretty much a really, really great new sort of Halloween film to enjoy every trick-or-treat season.
Any last-minute words for the rest of the minions out there from Johnny Thunder about, the season, the holiday, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I would just say it's amazing how quickly this always comes up on all of us. You know, this is the time of the year that we think about all year round, whether it's watching horror movies or working on props or thinking about our costumes or designing the haunt. You know, this is your time. This is our time. Relish every moment that you have and really embrace the season, whether that's going to a pumpkin patch or watching a monster movie or introducing a friend or a neighbor or your kid to something fun, going to a corn maze, going to a haunted house, going to a trunk or treat, you know, whatever it is, just really, really embrace it because we never know how much time we have left together. So really, really spend the time with your family, enjoy this time, and let's make new memories. Honestly, keep the light burning, whatever Rev says, but you know.
Oh, so you're co-opting his like little
No, but it's literally, you know, and but here's what I'm going to say. You know, I have friends that say, you know, I only get 5 trick-or-treaters, I only get 10 trick-or-treaters, but you know what? For those 5, for those 10, for those 20, 100, 1,000, you have kept the tradition going. You have made a difference, and you possibly have influenced and pass along the love and the tradition to a new generation. So definitely keep doing what you're doing. Keep on keeping on, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I love you, brother. Even though I hate you, I love you. All right, everybody. As
I
always,
hate to love you.
This is Johnny Thunder saying stay scary and happy Halloween.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.